Welcome to This Week in Jacksonville Plus, something for our streaming viewers, in addition to the conversations from our show that airs at 9 a.m. Sundays on Channel 4. This is special content. You're only going to see it here on News 4 Jax Plus. Right now, we're speaking with Mike Linnington, the CEO of Wounded Warrior Project. And this nonprofit's been calling attention to the needs of veterans and their families. And do I understand this correctly? Is this your 20th year for Wounded Warrior
20th anniversary,
Project?
Yeah, this summer. We're excited.
Bring us back to why that effort started and where the organization is now.
Started in 2003 as an organization of purely volunteers getting together in Virginia to deliver backpacks of comfort items for wounded veterans coming through Walter Reed. Things like T-shirts and socks and the old Walkman radios and calling cards that you used to have to use to make a phone call.
Right.
When you come off the battlefield wounded, medics cut your clothes off. You have nothing left in the hospital when you arrive. These warriors had come through Lonsdale Regional Medical Center to Walter Reed, many of them with severe injuries, blast injuries, gunshot wounds, open head wounds, and they had nothing. So this group of patriotic citizens delivered backpacks. The idea caught on, and here we are 20 years later serving the needs of 225,000 wounded, injured, and ill across the country and their families.
The logo says a lot about your mission, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's one warrior carrying another. We know at any point in a warrior's healing that they're the warrior that's being carried. Once that healing occurs, mind, body, and spirit, we encourage and inspire our warriors to then give back. So many of those we served in the early days and over the last 20 years are now today giving back, leading peer support groups. Many of them work for Wounded Warrior Project. They're all role models in their community, in their jobs, and they continue to attract veterans that maybe need help and haven't reached out for help to come join us at Wounded Warrior Project. We're trying to pitch in and make a difference, augmenting what the government does through the Department of Veterans Affairs and what other VSOs and MSOs, veteran service organizations, military service organizations do across the country.
So many of the people that I've met because of Wounded Warrior Project since I moved to this area in 2010 have inspiring stories because of what they've sacrificed in their military career, what they've overcome, because they were willing to say, I could use a little help here. And then they've transitioned to what you just talked about, helping other veterans through this process.
Yeah, it is about giving back. I mean, we say connect, serve, empower. It starts with connection, connecting those injured veterans with other veterans, with themselves, and with programs in their community that help them heal after they leave the hospital. Serving them with a variety of programs that we deliver at no cost to the warrior or the warrior's family. And then the empower piece of connect, serve, empower. Once they're empowered, they've healed mind, body, and spirit. They then take off. Peer support group leaders, teammates that lead our connection events across the country, our Project Odysseys, run our legislative program in Washington, D.C., advocate, fly into D.C. all the time, advocating for legislative change for all veterans, not just post 9/11 wounded warriors. Ken, it's amazing. If given the opportunity to heal, warriors heal. Our key fight today is removing some of the barriers to care and the stigma for getting care.
Right.
This month, Mental Health Awareness Month, we got to continue to inspire those that need help to get help and normalize mental health treatment. If you need help, get help, and the rest comes.
So during our Sunday morning program, we talked through some of the pressing issues that is affecting veterans, and certainly mental health, suicide prevention is one of those things. I wanted to hear a little bit more about financial wellness. You described in our show some of the things that go into that, but what are the solutions for veterans and their families when it comes to financial wellness?
Solutions are really budgeting within the means you have, and then secondly, a job. It's also a very protective factor for mental health as a
career or
a great career,
job.
a great job, great purpose.
Yeah.
And if not, then volunteer. Our annual warrior survey that we do every year this year showed some really startling negative numbers about financial stress. I don't think that's a surprise to many people going through what we've been through the last couple of years post-COVID with inflation and all the challenges with supply chain and everything else. But 6 in 10 of our warriors on our survey said that they were having trouble making ends meet. 57% are in debt over what's prescribed for them. And almost 4 in 10 had difficulty translating their military job skills their military skills into civilian jobs. So we're helping in all three of those areas.
I think it was back in March, I saw that you were on Capitol Hill and you were speaking to our Congress, to the Senate, to the House about, hey, here are some of the needs. Here are the things that veterans need support with. One of the things I saw in this agenda that your team sent me this week was that there needs to be increased support for women warriors. This is a growing population of warriors, right?
Fastest growing population of veterans that are joining the VA. And the fastest growing population at Wounded Warrior Project. We have 32,000 women wounded warriors in our database that we serve. That's 17% of the population, and that number is growing really quickly. By the way, during COVID, when we had to go to remote and virtual offerings, women veterans, women alumni of Wounded Warrior Project took advantage of those programs at a much higher ratio than their male counterparts. About 44% of what we did virtually was signed up for and taken advantage of by our women warriors. It was one of those V8 moments where we go, of course. Women have so many responsibilities with jobs,
right,
children, home care. Not being able to go do an event for a couple hours in the evening or over the weekend was a challenge for them. So we're doing more with our women warriors. And we're really advocating with our legislative officials, congressmen and senators, to continue to advocate for legislative change at the VA to help make the VA more accommodating for our women warriors. Yeah. Deborah Sampson Act was a big first step with the 116th Congress, passed in 2021. 30 different legislative directed items were covered in the Deborah Sampson Act. Now it's about implementing those changes and making the VAs clearly more welcoming for women veterans to go to.
General, I want to hear about another one of those agenda items, support for those dealing with the effects of combat-related toxic exposure.
Yeah.
Many of us go, oh, that probably points to veterans from Vietnam. Maybe help people understand that, no, that's the present day. These are our veterans in the last 20 years.
Kent, the toxins that the veterans were exposed to in Iraq and Afghanistan are debilitating. By the way, thank you to the Vietnam veterans. It took them 40 years to get what today's veterans got in about 4 years. Treatment for Agent Orange for the Vietnam veterans today is toxic exposures. The PACT Act was just approved less than a year ago, which affords two things. First, immediate health care for veterans with respiratory or any illness that can be associated with toxicants in training or in combat. Inhalants, I mean, you can imagine 20 different presumptive cases, 20 different presumptive conditions approved for health care, and then benefits that come with that. The clock is ticking on the benefits piece, though. You have to file your disability claim for benefits by, I think, the 9th of September, so 9th of August, I'm sorry, 9th of August.
That's coming even sooner.
It's coming pretty quickly, so we're putting a lot of priority on those that are part of our alumni base to make sure they know about that.
Let's wrap up on the topic of Memorial Day. It's Memorial Day weekend, and when it comes to that specific day, I know that my cousin gave his life in service in Iraq in 2003. I would imagine, did I read this correctly? Your service time in the Army was 35 years?
35 years in the Army and 7 years at Wounded Warrior Project.
I would imagine that there's more than just one person who is near and dear to your heart that you think of when it comes to Memorial Day.
My Memorial Day memories go to the Memorial Days I was deployed, to the service members, soldiers primarily, that didn't come home from my unit. My time in D.C., Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, Arlington National Cemetery, laying a wreath with the president a couple years. Doing the same thing here in Jacksonville. We have events all over the country, not celebrations, but events for veterans that want to remember, give back, and remember their loved ones, their battle buddies, and the Gold Star families that lost somebody, wrapping our arms around them, remembering them, and giving them the proper tribute and honor that they've earned.
Can't think of a community other than Northeast Florida that would be more interested in doing that because of our love for our military community.
Jacksonville's a pretty special military
I agree,
city.
Yes. General Linnington, thank you so much. Appreciate
Thanks,
your
Ken.
time today.
Thanks for having me on.
So you can watch for more in-depth interviews just like this one. It's in addition to our show that airs at 9 a.m. Sundays on Channel 4. This is special content. You only see it here on News 4 Jax Plus.